Hi guys, I'm Carly, your Wellbeing Officer, and I'll be talking about my campaigns now. I've got 6 main campaigns this year, and they are the male mental health, then there is the random act of kindness one, body positivity, consent and safety, the sort of support information campaign called Here to Here, and combating anti-Semitism. I will talk you a bit through each of these campaigns, and then afterwards I'll tell you a bit about the C card. So for the male mental health campaign, that will start in second semester, and I'll be running some workshops, events and student blogs about male mental health, and I'm hoping that Locker Room, which was started last year, will be up and running again. Then the next one is Random Acts of Kindness. You've probably already seen the posters. All first years have them on their doors already, or should have them in their accommodation already. These are posters you can fill in, and if any of your flatmates are ever upset or something like that, you can just go to their poster and look what their favorite hot drink is or what makes them happy, and then try to kind of cheer them up a bit. I will also do a loneliness intervention week. That's on week 5, and I'll be doing a cup of coffee and chat thing for people that might have not settled in as well yet. And I will also be doing like a workshop on kind of building up your confidence together with Inside Out UK. Then for the body positivity campaign, I'll be doing events to celebrate all bodies, and I'll be creating a student recipe book for like easy recipes that aren't like, just recipes basically. For the consent and safety campaign, I'll be reviewing the CCTV and the lighting review on campus and in Victoria Park. There are already running sessions of mandatory consent and bystander workshops, which I think they're going live next week actually, and there's an external casework review which has Mia actually implemented already by Empower Campuses. And then a review the inter-university sharing. So basically, if you get assaulted by someone who goes to DMU, that you basically get supported by someone from our uni through the process. For the Here to Here support information campaign, I will be kind of creating a series of flyers in key areas of support. So the first one is actually coming out soon. It's on sexual violence as well. It's going to be a flowchart that you will find in all toilets, and you can basically scan the hyperlinks with your phones, so you can kind of look further into each of the things that are available for you. And it's kind of there to, if you get into this panic state after being assaulted, you can just go and look and make very informed, very quick decisions of what to do next and how to get safe really. Then there's going to be another one on STIs hopefully. There's one on Black queer mental health that's coming soon. I'm working with Charlie and Nick on that, and Tony actually. And so if you've got any ideas of flyers that you would like to see, then you can just message me. And the last campaign is on combating anti-Semitism, where I want to have, so for Holocaust Memorial Day, I want there to be a new memorial on campus for students that might have died during Holocaust. We're still trying to find out if any students actually did die during Holocaust from our university, and if they did, then we will have a memorial. If not, we will look into other options. And I'm going to go with JSOC and some people from DMU to the Leicester City Council, and we will try to get De Montfort Hall renamed. So the next thing I want to talk about is the C card. For all of you that don't know what the C card is basically a card that you can go into different stores in with, like pharmacies, and then you can get free condoms. How you can get it, so it's available across Leicester and Leicestershire and Rutland, and a C card allows you to obtain free condoms and lube from a range of venues during opening hours, and the registration only takes a few minutes, and you'll be asked a few simple questions such as your age and address, but all the information is confidential. And the places where you can get the C card are the Well Clarendon Park Pharmacy, the Victoria Park Health Centre, the Boots in Gallotree Gate, the Boots in High Cross. And if you can't get any of these venues, you can also sign up via phone. I can share the number later, and basically, the C card is a really good option. Usually you can get it on campus, but because of Corona this year, we are not really doing it. So if you want any more information, you can always just drop me a message. If you want to get involved in any of my campaigns, you can also drop me a message, and I'm just open to any of your ideas. And now on to Tony.
Hi, everybody. You've probably already seen me earlier this morning talking about Black History Month. I can, I'm gonna give you a little bit more information. Since I already talked about Black History Month, I'll just say that that's currently happening. We're dressing the campus now. Everything is gone. The websites and social medias and everything. All the information is there. So please make sure to join in. In terms of campaigns, so most of my things this year are going to be sort of more operational, looking into resources and all these sort of things that happen on the background. But I think it's always good to share sort of the things that I'm planning on to do throughout the year. I guess you can count them as campaigns. One thing that it just happened, we just did like an hour ago. We were doing a campus walk around, so we were able to hope to get to make the university get more gender neutral toilets on campus. So that's a very big thing. So we're looking into different buildings, trying to check where are the best places that we can put gender neutral toilets in. This has been a campaign in collaboration with Nick Farmer, who is your LGBT officer, and Charlie as well, who is your trans and non-binary officer. And we're very excited into making the university as inclusive as possible for people. And yeah, because I think general facilities should be something that should already be existing. But yeah, there's some work going around that, and hopefully we're gonna have them around soon. So a couple of other things that I'm working on are currently a liberation strategy that's going to go within with the union that's going to look into how we can better implement liberation within the students union and within the university. So there's some work going around that. So yeah, we're still on the writing and all these sort of things. We've done a couple of consultations. We've gathered quite a nice chunky amount of data. So we're analyzing and putting everything out. So hopefully it's gonna meet the measure, if I could put it that way. Then we're there's some work as well going around sort of awarding gap and satisfaction gap and ensuring that the curriculum and all the different parts are as accessible as possible, and they are reflective of the student body that we have on campus, because students should feel like they're getting something out of their education that feels as if they can relate to and come out saying that I learned something that I'm interested in, because there's up more often than not we see students who aren't necessarily who don't feel like they felt represented within their curriculum. So there's some work going around that. Also, as liberation officer and going into liberation work, we've had some instances of, because it's such a broad remit, broad things, it's like, it's hard for people and myself as well to gauge what liberation is, and how to get involved with the work, why it is that we do it. So there's going to be some campaign material going around that. So sort of to share the language and kind of bring people into what liberation is and why we do the work that we're doing and why it's so important to rope people in, to have people from many different sides to be able to engage with the work that we're doing. Obviously, as well, we're going to be celebrating all the months and all the popular months and stuff like that. I wouldn't say popular, but all the liberation months. So we're doing Black History Month now. We're doing plannings for LGBT History Month coming soon. There's International Day of Persons with Disabilities that's coming soon. Holocaust Memorial Week. We all of these we work with the university. There's also going to be stuff for International Women's Week, Trans Day of Disability, Trans Day of Remembrance. So yeah, all these small things that we're working on. But I would say that whilst yes, we're celebrating things and putting like events and stuff, there's some work going on in the background. So at the moment, we're reviewing the counseling services for LGBT people in particular. We've launched a survey. So I think we've collected quite a few things. So we're drafting that up. There's also a survey looking at the trans guidance policy to ensure that trans staff and students have something tangible that they can use in terms of how transitioning works at university, or if they're in the process of transitioning, or if they're questioning and all these different things, that there's something in place from the university, a resource that people can go to, and sort of protection as well in that sort of sense. Looking into accessibility, which is a big thing this year, thinking about Ignite, looking into what was I going to say? Looking into physical spaces, websites, our website, lecture theaters, and again, toilet facilities and all these sort of things. So hopefully gonna do some sort of audit, if I can put it that way. And yeah, things around accessibility, ensuring that students feel as if so their experiences is not diminished because of the lack of accessible spaces on campus. So again, with the One Direction system and all these sort of things, looking into how things are being placed at the moment. And kind of to round it off, there's again, I think this is a common thing that you'll see with loads of us. We'll be kind of working with looking into CCCV and all these sort of things because we want to ensure that the blind spots where students usually are harassed or go through or have some instances of violating their privacy and all these sort of things that there's appropriate coverage and the students feel safe walking in on campus using the facilities and all these sort of things, as well as working with the Leicester Council to ensure that it's a broader piece of work, not just focusing on at the university, but also looking at the city as well, as we're part of the community as well as students and as staff as much. But yeah, those are a couple of things that I'm working on campaign-wise. And if you want to get involved, please just feel free, send a message, anything. I'm on Instagram. We're all on Instagram, Twitters, Facebooks, emails, whatever you prefer.
Cool. Thank you very much, Tony. Do you have anything else that you want to add, Carly, before we finish? Mm-hmm. And anything else from you, Tony? If not, that's fine.
You know, no, not really. I think, yeah. Again, it's just like messaging us. We are. How could I say? We are adaptable as officers because we're elected on a manifesto, obviously, and we want to deliver those things. But at the same time, we're not like how do you say? We're not bound to all of these things, so we can adjust the things, taking into consideration the needs of students. So again, if you have a campaign, if you have something that you think we should be working on, please, just go on, message us, and we're gonna make it work.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, both. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Carly. That was great.
Thank you.
Coming up, thank you. That's great. Coming up. In about 15 minutes time, we have a number of taster sessions that you can join. The links to join in those sessions will be appearing in the announcements in the next 5 minutes. So keep an eye on there and those starts at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Hi everyone, hello again. You may have seen me a few times today already. For those of you who haven't, my name is Adnan. I am the Education Officer of the Students' Union. Really, this is just a chance for us to talk about what campaigns we're looking to set up, what our priorities are for the year. So I'll get going and then Elle will join afterwards. So a couple of things more recently as well that I'm looking to get going and get kickstarting. The big thing I want to get kickstarted is a student-led campaign on decolonizing education, and we're calling it Less Decolonized. So I play on the first half of the word Leicester and then decolonized. Apologies, by the way, that's just the tap running. And then as well as that, you will notice that will be up and running in the next few weeks, and we'll be running, we'll be utilizing like different avenues of getting students involved. And you'll get the opportunity, if you want to get involved with that, and more details of which will be launched in the next few weeks. As well as that, I'm looking to, in collaboration with certain staff members in the Students' Union, we're looking to create a portal of sorts around hidden costs and additional costs, where you can report any additional costs you've received, particularly in light of the COVID situation. There's something else to keep an eye out for in the next few weeks as well. And another campaign this semester that I'm looking to run in November actually is a Stand Against Islamophobia campaign, and pretty much just an awareness campaign, but also a campaign of what we can do on campus and what steps we can take on campus to proactively combat Islamophobia, and yeah, I mean the Let's Decolonize campaign, that's a long-term campaign. It's something I want to last beyond my term as education officer, and I really want it to be student-led. So, long story short, those are the campaigns, I guess, that I'm looking to kickstart, and I'm really, really keen for students to get involved. In terms of my priorities for the year, I'll very quickly try and sum up because I don't want to take up too much time. So, as kind of we've alluded to, one of my big priorities is decolonizing curriculum and education at Leicester. As well as that, I want to work closely with the other officers, particularly with Elle, actually, who is actually here, on employability. But for me specifically, I want to work on how the curriculum is giving you those work skills, those necessary work-based skills, and just kind of making sure that we're learning what is needed for today's day and age. Obviously, COVID has meant that our priorities have had to adapt slightly. So making sure that that the sufficient kind of adjustments are in place to make sure that you're getting the most of your learning experience. We will keep piling pressure both locally and nationally to make sure that the discussions of tuition fees and the injustices around that are continuously raised both locally and nationally. As well as that, we also want to utilize this period in the sense that we've seen that there is an ability to take things online and to have a virtual learning environment. So in the more long term, a more long-term priority for us as a union is making sure that that there are those offers for particularly for students who have access needs and are distance learning. The offer of virtual learning is there, and then that package is there on a more long-term basis. Hopefully after the pandemic as well. And yeah, no, that's pretty much it from me off the top of my head. I'm going to hand over to Elle. I'll let her introduce herself. But yeah, I'll drop my email in the chat for anyone who wants to get in touch with me. But yeah.
Yeah, cheers, Adnan. Apologies for the headset. I look a little bit like I'm landing planes, I think, at this point. But yeah, I'm Elle. I'm the activities officer. So my priorities span sort of 4 key areas, which are looking at societies and student groups, and then also sustainability, volunteering, and extracurricular employability. So like Adnan said, my employability priorities sit very closely with his, and we're both looking at supporting students, especially in the sort of new age of COVID. I'm very specifically looking at the skills that you get from the experiences that you do outside of your degree, and also supporting liberation groups specifically to have safe spaces and networks within employability to hopefully support all of our graduates to be moving on from Leicester. In terms of societies, I've recently established Societies Council, so we have representation from groups and committee members to make the key decisions and activities, and to specifically allocate grant funding applications with a ring-fenced amount for inclusion and equity projects to ensure that we're constantly promoting inclusion and liberation work in activities. In terms as well of societies, my job is a lot to do with making their lives easier, so especially getting things like online finances live is a good priority for me to work to, and just responding generally to sort of the needs of committee members, especially with how much guidance is changing at the moment. Volunteering is very much looking community focused. I would love students that are concerned about sort of social justice issues in Leicester to start reaching out to us to see if there's something in the city that you want to get involved in. I'm leading on the union's relationship with Leicester Citizens, who are a community organising alliance, and it would be great to get students passionate about change to just drop me a message, and we can start that conversation going about sort of where we can make an impact, both as students in Leicester, but also as citizens of Leicester. Predominantly, my campaign work sits in sustainability. I'm looking forward to hosting a climate justice campaign to ensure that our narrative about sustainability on campus is focused, as it rightly should, on sustainability and climate change as a race and social justice issue. I'd also like to support students in their education around investments and making sure that you quite rightly get the sustainable practices from your university that you invest in. So securing work throughout the year to ensure that both your union and your university commit to a sustainable future. So yeah, I'm not necessarily that campaign faced, but I would love to hear from students involved in any of the areas that I cover, because there's definitely lots of opportunities. So yeah, I can see that we're rerunning.
Right. Hello, everyone. Apologies if you see me again for what feels like the 100th time. But for those of you who haven't met me yet, my name is Adnan. Oh, hello. Sorry. Right. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I think the live just started now. My bad. Hi, everyone. My name is Adnan. I'm the Education Officer of the Students' Union. Yeah, no, apologies if you've seen me again. I've been around a few times today. So really, pretty much what it says on the tin is an opportunity for us to talk about our campaigns and priorities, and to really, show it to you really, and hopefully provide you with opportunities to, one, speak to you, but also to bring you in where we can. So I'll start off with like the campaigns I've got going, hopefully, or will get going. So in terms of my campaigns, there's a few on a kickstart this semester. So the first one I want to talk about is what we're going to call Less Decolonise. So decolonizing education and the curriculum is a big priority for me, is a big manifesto priority for me this year. And I want to help create, alongside Tony, a Liberation Officer, I want to help create a student-led campaign dedicated to decolonizing education. And the idea behind it is that students get together and along with allies in the university or academics, we set out what we want to see in terms of, what does a decolonized Leicester look like, in terms of, having a more inclusive curriculum, in terms of tackling awarding gaps, so on and so forth. And I really want to empower you to try and help me, but also help you kind of decide what that looks like. So that's one campaign looking to launch in the next few weeks. Keep an eye out for that. You'll receive more details, I'm sure. Another priority, another campaign for me this semester, which I'm looking to launch in November, is Stand Against Islamophobia. And again, it's pretty much what it says on the tin. It will be both a campaign of awareness around the issue of Islamophobia locally and nationally, in the university context as well, and also what steps we can take in terms of organising against it, in terms of how it manifests itself on campus as well. So keep an eye out for that. As well as that, another priority for me in terms of my manifesto is campaigning against hidden course costs or additional costs. And for those of you who might not know what that is basically costs that you are having to incur that fall outside of your tuition fee. So it may be the cost of your textbook, it may be the cost of trips, or even your graduation gown or something like that. What I'm looking to do, I'm working with one of my colleagues in the Students' Union, Lily, who is in charge of research. Working closely with Lily to kind of launch a portal of sorts where students can feed into it and report any kind of additional barriers or costs they faced, particularly as a result of the pandemic. And on the point of the pandemic, actually, that's obviously become a huge priority for everyone, and has had to mean that we've had to adapt a little bit our priorities as well. And for me personally, it's about making sure that the sufficient learning adaptations are made, but also that students are getting a fair deal, where students are not getting sufficient access because of Wi-Fi, or where students aren't getting sufficient time to do their assignments, and with that, making sure that the mitigating circumstances process is as lenient as possible for students, particularly in light of the pandemic, making sure all of those support mechanisms are in place. And we're also working really hard as a union team to make sure both locally and nationally, the issue of and injustice of tuition fees is taken seriously. And as well as that, a big priority for me is employability, and I'll be working very closely with the other officers, and as well, who'll be joining straight after me. We'll be working quite closely on that. And for me personally, it's looking at how we can embed those work-based learning skills within and embed it within the curriculum, and make sure that's part of core teaching. And really, for me, it's symbolic of making sure we're learning, as well as the conventional learning, that we're learning what is necessary in today's day and age, and that will help us when we move on from university. So that's a big priority for me. And yeah, I mean, that's me in a nutshell. I haven't really got much else to add, other than that. Oh, just very quickly as well, another priority for me is actually the personal tutoring system, and just making sure that it's essentially there for you and it's fit for purpose, and that the personal tutors are actually of benefit to students across the university, in terms of providing that support and guidance with several different things, be it personal, be it signposting for personal mental health issues, or even more kind of professional practical things like job applications, master's applications, that sort of thing, just making sure that they're there for students. But yeah, no, that's it from me. I'm going to hand over to Elle, and yeah, please drop any questions via this, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah, apologies for the serious call centre vibes, but I'm Elle and I'm your activities officer. So that basically means that I'm the officer leading on all things to do with sort of societies, and volunteering and employability with Adnan, and also sustainability. So sort of I'm a law student by background, and I ran Pro Bono, which is a fairly big volunteering society, and was particularly involved in community organising during my time here. So a lot of my priorities do reflect the student experience of all students at Leicester, and also looking specifically as to how we embed that in Leicester. So it's easy to split my priorities into those 4 categories. So in terms of societies, a lot of the work that I want to do is to make society management more simple. So looking specifically at online finances, which are very COVID compliant, and also making sure that student group leaders are well supported with engaging other students, which is a specific priority this year. So sort of continuing Give It a Go all year round, helping students to find their fit with groups, and also appointing my own societies council to support and make decisions on grant funding and new group applications, to ensure that decisions made for groups are made by student group leaders, and that there is a competency there to ensure that all groups receive the funding that they need for their activities. So we've ring-fenced funding specifically for inclusion and equity projects, and I'm excited to see how that supports specifically liberation groups throughout the year. In terms of volunteering, we are currently in the process of redesigning our volunteering portal to ensure that it empowers our students who are volunteers, that it's easy to access, and that we are constantly celebrating the work that is led by students on campus. There is a huge narrative, as I'm sure most people are aware of, around student behaviour at the moment, and I feel that my priority about championing student-led volunteering and students in general is more important now than ever. So I'm doing a lot of work to ensure that student voices are heard, and that they can talk about what they care about and what they're passionate about, and that we can showcase the sort of amazing work of student volunteering. I also want to push volunteering into a more local space, to specifically align students with local community-based organisations, to ensure that it's a massive help for students to feel at home in Leicester. That's a priority that also leans itself into employability, looking at what is unique to Leicester, but also working on sort of employment networks with Adnan and Tony for liberation groups, to ensure that everyone has safe space, good connections, and can push forward into a market that is really challenging, but that we are supporting you to ensure that you get the most from your career service and your union whilst you're here. That also sort of lends itself into looking at HERE accreditation, and to ensure that whatever you do whilst you're here, you know how to articulate that, you know how to get the most from your experience, and that it properly supports you moving on into employment. My main sort of, personally, a very big passion area for me is sustainability. I'm excited to host a campaign on climate justice and to ensure that whatever work is delivered on sustainability, that we see a commitment to prioritising the narrative of climate change as a race and social justice issue, to also ensure that eco-accessibility is embedded into everything that we're prioritising. As part of this, I want to work on a union climate strategy plan to ensure that we have a long-term commitment from your student union to match the commitment that we've seen from the university, and to work on education so that students can properly understand why investment and ethical investment is so important, but also that you have all of the information to be able to approach a review of the university's investment portfolio properly, and that we can secure that space so that students have a space with the university to continue the conversation as to how they're prioritising a sustainable future, whilst ensuring that the union is also making the correct commitments, and that is student led. Another sort of campaign area that I'm working on is that I'm leading on our relationship to Leicester Citizens, which is an alliance formed of community leaders on the principle of community organising and making change as part of the community on issues that affect all of us. I think it's really important that the student voice is heard in this discussion, and that there are actually a lot of issues such as housing that affect students as a member of the community. It's not a unique issue to students, and it's also a priority that we need to ensure is on the table. So basically, my call out is, if you're interested in social justice, community issues, sustainability issues, then just get in touch. I will be doing Give It a Go on sustainability to ensure that everyone is aware of the structures that you can get involved in. There's a lot of groups that are happening to exist sort of under my remit for your representation. So yeah, happy to answer any questions, but I would say that is a summary of my priorities.
Okay, I'm just checking the questions box, and they're not exactly flooding in. I suppose because you touched on citizens, I think citizens, like you said, is very, very important, I think. And I wonder if you could potentially expand on what's been done with citizens in the past, and then the importance. I guess you've touched on it already, the importance of having student delegations there. But I suppose in terms of what change can be achieved with that forum, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So Citizens was established in Leicester a couple of years ago. When it was originally established, the Students' Union was one of the founding sort of community partners in the Alliance. Lots of students were trained in organising, including myself, and sort of the structure of an organising campaign is listening and then research teams, and then that moves into action. Whilst in Leicester, they have made progress, specifically looking at schools and the issue of mental health, and also homelessness funding and stuff. The best examples are sort of looking at setups such as Nottingham, who successfully campaigned to make misogyny a hate crime, and the Living Wage Foundation that was born out of Citizens. So it's the sort of things that affect a wider community and are community driven that you see the backing from everyone that lives in Leicester, led by sort of the organisations that they're a part of, come together. And I will keep reiterating this till I'm blue in the face, student involvement in this city's priorities and this city's decisions is crucial. Students are absolutely citizens of Leicester, and whilst it supports, personally I found my involvement massively supported me in feeling more at home here, because I ended up knowing these random people from across the city, but also an opportunity to work on something community focused really harnesses quite a lot of power and a lot of different skill sets, and students bring a very unique set of skills. I'm starting to sound like I'm in Taken or something, but there is a skill set that students can bring to community organising, and also that it is an area for you to be passionate and get your issues on the table. And I'm excited to lead, hopefully, and recruit a team of student delegates who are happy to continue presenting our priorities, because ultimately they are strong. They are city focused, and you know we can work as the city of Leicester to secure a better space for students whilst they're here and if they continue to stay here. So yeah, that got very pitchy.
No, I'm sold. I'm sold. No, I couldn't agree more, to be honest. Like, I think, just very generally speaking, because I was briefly involved with Citizens, not as involved as Al, but I was briefly involved, and I think there's a lot of potential there. Students engage in organising it, like El said, really, because a lot of these issues that students will raise, whilst yes, the university have a big responsibility to students, and you know, we alongside yourselves have responsibility to hold them to account there. We also need to, I think, like El alluded to, it's really important that we engage with the city, with big stakeholders in the city. A lot of these issues that matter to us, yeah, like El said, they're like within the remit of the council and stuff like that. And I think collectively, the more we collectively organise and find those issues transcend our campus, the stronger we are, and the more our voices will be heard, I think. So I think Citizens is really, really important. I just thought, yeah. So I just really want to plug Citizens. I think it'd be important for you and everyone else.
I think it's important to be transparent on maybe the failings that we've had in Leicester previously. But I think sort of what the Alliance has learned in Leicester is to start small, and it is sort of that classic example of, do you know, if private housing is an issue, if as an alliance we can work to get rid of 2 bad landlords and build from there is momentum in that sort of change. So yeah, I will continue to plug Citizens all year, and I know as a whole exec team we're all on board to make the change there for students. So yeah, trying to think of what I can ask you.
Oh, I'm clearly covered everything, haven't I?
You have. No, you really have.
I'm sure I've missed out a few things, but to be honest, it's fine if you don't have any questions out. We're not going to pressure anyone into asking anything. But Ella's dropped her email address. I've dropped mine. Our socials will be plastered all over the place as well. We're quite easily, you can easily get a hold of us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And yeah, if you have any questions, fire them across there. Apologies for the noise. That's just the sink running. But yeah, I think call it quits now.
Yeah, I think so.
Got any last minute questions?
I mean, yeah, we're pretty hard to miss if you're on any of the union channels and stuff. So feel free to drop us a message about anything. And you've got Dan up next at 3:15, your women's officer. So yeah, come back for that. Cool. I feel like I'm in a call centre.
All right. Thanks, cool. Everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, there we go. We're all good now. I have my mic off. There we go. Hi everyone. I am Dan, and I'm your Women's Officer for this year. So I am a physics PhD student, just coming into my second year. And yeah, I'm just starting my position as Women's Officer. So that really means that it's my job to represent women students at the union. And as well as sort of campaign on your behalf on a number of different issues, and we'd just be there as a point of contact and support if needed for anyone. Yeah, so I ran for this role this time last year, really based on the work I did as an undergraduate student. I was co-chair of my women's campaign at my undergraduate university. And sort of worked a lot on reproductive justice and sexual violence, and it was just really powerful to see what could be done if women came together and really tried to make some serious change. And so when I came to Leicester, it just seemed like the perfect opportunity, really, to really just get stuck in and see what positive difference we can make for women students here at this university. So I'm planning on working on a number of different things over the year, and these are all things that I want to work on, but I really want to get as many students as involved with as possible, because I think, you know, things really change when people get involved and people have different views and different experiences, and I think it's really important that we, you know, that we come together and share that. So if there's any of these sort of are really, you know, anything that you really want to get involved in, you know, please do get stuck in, and I'll talk how to get in touch later. But yeah, so the big thing I really want to work on, that I'm really passionate about, is around sexual violence. It's obviously something that's really important. There's been a conversation around it in recent years, especially on campus. And there already has been some work going on with Me Too on campus, but I really want to sort of, you know, get stuck in and get working on this. I want to look at how the SU and the university can better support students who've experienced sexual violence. I want to reach out to local organisations that work with survivors and around sexual violence. I want to look at sort of how the university harassment procedures are set up and how we can improve those, how they work and don't work. And as well as just sort of building, you know, a culture of consent at university, looking at consent workshops and all that sort of stuff, and the wider sort of political education around that. So that's one thing I'm really passionate about. I'm also really passionate about reproductive justice, sort of in all its forms, how we can support students accessing reproductive health care, whether that's, you know, helping them take time off or support them financially, whatever that looks like, and, you know, what is it that students need. I really want to look into trying to get either discounted or free menstrual products on campus. Obviously things are a bit difficult, you know, with the current situation, but maybe in the future looking towards getting that in place. That's something that happens at a lot of other universities, so I'd really like to get that going. There's a few other things as well that I think I'd like to get working on. One of those is how we as an SU can support students who are sex working. It's something that's more and more common now, especially in, you know, in the current financial situation for a lot of people, to make sure that we're not stigmatizing it, to make sure that students get the support that they need, and to make sure that there's not repercussions for any students if they do seek support or disclose that they're sex working. And that's something that I really want to be a collaborative process with students to identify what is it that we can do. And then finally, to finish off more broadly, I really want to sort of really bring a sort of, you know, a culture of feminism on campus, to really have that conversation that maybe goes beyond some of the more basic things that sort of feminism 101, to learn from each other, and to push to sort of maybe the more radical forms of feminism. So maybe that'll look like, hopefully, I'd hope to get sort of reading groups where we can sort of read feminist literature and learn from people. But these are all things that will sort of come down the line. And yeah, I really want students to get involved. There's a number of different ways you can get involved. And the first is the Women's Network. So that is a group of about 5 students who will work with me on some of the things I'd like to work on, and you can also bring your ideas. The elections for that are coming up very soon, and you can run. I was a network. I was on a network, and it was a really good experience. You're supported a lot, and it's just a really good chance to sort of really get stuck in at the university if you're really passionate about making real radical change. So I'd really recommend you look it up. There'll be details on the SU website and social media. You can also be an equality and liberation champion to support that work within your school or department. ENL champions have done a lot of really good work in the past. And of course, you can just get in touch. You don't have to be in these positions if you're not sure about it. You can just, if there's something you're passionate about, or you see something you want to get involved in, just get in touch. I'm on social media, so I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Less Women. That's LEICS Women, LEICS Women. And you can always email me as well, do110@la.ac.uk. All my details are on the SU website. So yeah, I'd really just invite everyone to, get in touch with anything they're passionate about. And yeah, I think there's a chance for people to ask questions if you want to. But yeah, thank you all for coming and listening. Yeah, there's my Twitter and Instagram in the chat if you'd like to give me a follow and keep up to date with everything I'm doing.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I'm the trans and non-binary officer. I use he/him pronouns, and I also chair the Trans and Non-Binary Network. And nominations for trans representatives and non-binary representatives for students are open now. If you are interested in representing and campaigning for trans students on campus, things that I'm aiming to sort of get done this year will be promoting and educating within trans and non-binary sexual health, and really working on the LGBT History Month with the rest of the university and the society, and sort of working towards more resources for queer mental health and things like that. So I was elected to be an officer last year when elections opened. So yeah, I was lucky enough to win the election for that. It was promoted within the LGBT society as well. I heard it from last year's LGBT officer, but when nominations were getting closer, I saw a lot on the SU website, and I was getting emails about it from the SU. And sort of seeing it around campus and things like that. So last year I was an ELC for my course. I do biological science, and I was an ELC, which is an Equality and Liberation champion. So if anyone had any problems within our course and modules and things, they'd come to me, and I'd try and resolve them within the SU or within our academic faculty if needed. Yeah, so because I do biological sciences, there wasn't too many issues cropping up, but I saw quite a lot within the university with representation in the university as a whole that I wasn't at liberty to sort as an ELC, which made me push to be a trans non-binary officer, because I knew if I was in that role, I would be a better stand to fix them issues that I saw. Yeah, that's what promoted me. So, like I said at the beginning, my biggest aim would be to do work within promoting education within trans and non-binary sexual health, because we don't talk about it enough. It's always sort of pushed aside because no one really knows how to talk about it. So some campaigns and some education workshops, maybe throughout the year. It's still in the works, but that's my big aim, is to get that moving. And then also the LGBT History Month as well. I'm excited to work on that. That's going to be really fun. I suppose I could plug my socials. Now I have an Instagram for my role as officer, and it's Less Trans, so LEICSTRANS. Yeah, so that's the only social I have. So yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited to work with other officers in the SU as well. Executive officers like Carly for the mental health awareness and things like that. So yeah. Yeah, so I chair the trans and non-binary network, and I can't wait to work with the network. And nominations are open now for anyone who there's 5 roles for the network that we are currently recruiting for now. So if you're interested, anyone's interested in nominating themselves or representing trans students, then it's the role for you. And next will be the international officer. Bye.
Okay, sorry about the technical issue. So my name is Jay, and my name is Jay, and this year I'm your interest student officer. So basically, I'm from India. I'm also an interest student, and I'm here in Leicester since 2016. So basically, I know quite about Leicester and the students and everything. So basically, when I was here new, during that time I faced lots of problems like homesickness, uh, language barrier, and everything like most of the international students face. And I want them to feel it's all right. It is good to face those kind of problems, so they are in the future you will be strong in that area. So when I heard about this opportunity, and I couldn't stop myself by joining the international student officer. So I just joined it, and by luck I got selected, and hopefully I'll do best in the future. And currently I'm doing my advanced computer science. I'm doing my master's, and this year, next week is I'm going to do a session. So lots of new students are there right now. So I'll tell them about what they need to do, and if they are finding accommodation or something like that. I have prepared some presentations, so I'll do that. And also I'm planning to do the movie nights each and every Friday. So hopefully I'll get that one. I am just doing some research how to do the online Netflix and everything. So I'll have a look. The first movie I have planned is Enola Holmes. Hopefully I will be organizing that next week or after that next week. So it will be good. And then after each and every week, I'll put some post in my social media, and you need to choose your movie. I'll put some movies in, and then after you need to select them. So then after each and every week, it will be your choice, not my choice, right? And also, I'm also planning to do an event which is for the international student something. It was held last year as well, and also I want to do this year as well. So basically, in that session, it will be different societies will be there, of the religion societies, and they will tell about the religion and everything. Okay, so, and my Instagram, I'm in the Instagram. Will be soon make an account in Twitter as well. So my Instagram is LEIS International, and you can find me on that. Please follow for the updates and everything. So the updates will be about the next weeks and movie nights and everything. Yeah. And if you have any question, put into the chat bar and I'll answer that, and I'll try to help you as much as I can this year.
Mic check. Can you hear me? Okay, so we've got subtitles and everything like that. Okay. Well, if that's all working, then we can begin with the next presentation. Okay, so welcome to this session of our Representation and Activism Fair. This part will cover the student leader roles, how to contact them, and how to run for these positions yourself. So, starting off, my name's Kieran Roberts, he/him pronouns. I'm a fourth year MPhil student. I've been a course and department rep for the last 3 years. I'm a member of the scrutiny committee, and I am the current chair of Union Council, or Union Chair. So what is representation and why is it important? Well, we've got a Padlet link which should be available in the chat to you. And yeah, so there'll be some places where you can answer questions, and with the help of my fantastic moderating team, we will be able to answer some of those towards the end of the session. So we'll just go right ahead and move on. So, representation. Representation is all about students having a voice in the discussions and decision making across the university and union as a whole. Some roles will focus on a specific groups of students, so as mentioned here, marginalised groups, underrepresented groups, and subject and year specifics. However, all of them are about representing all students overall. So while there will be specialisations, it's about supporting your peers, yourself, the general whole of the university family. So we're going to have a quick video on academic representation, which covered the circle saying about course and subject specific.
Have you ever wondered who are your academic representatives? Simple, they are course reps and departmental reps, both being student volunteers for each subject and year of study, appointed to represent their peers' academic interests at department and university meetings. In addition to representing their peers, liaising with staff and where appropriate signposting students to relevant services, representatives contribute to developments on modules, programs and wider campus initiatives. And the reasons they do all that are quite straightforward. For the greater good, as these are volunteering roles, reps work for the benefit of current students as well as the benefit of future generations. For quality assurance, They feed back to and from the student cohorts to ensure that the education delivered to and received by students is the highest quality, addressing student needs and is enhancing student experience. For personal development, every extracurricular experience is enhancing employability and can take you further during an interview. If you want to find out more about the role or who is your course and department rep, visit our page at leicesterunion.com/voice/academic-representation.
So there we go. That was just a short presentation by our one of our officers, the education officer. And now we'll have a brief presentation about student council and network. So another representative role from the president, Mia.
Are you interested in representing students, organising events and campaigns whilst gaining valuable professional skills? A student union rep position might be for you. Student Council is comprised of 15 networks on which students' union reps sit. They cover the different groups and interests within our student population, from being able to represent students of colour, mature students, to focusing on sustainability. There is a network for everyone. Networks form the core of our student democracy at ULSU. In addition to organising within your network, you will also represent students at Student Council, where the networks come together to debate and vote on motions relating to key issues affecting students here at Leicester. Now, what's in it for you? You get to meet and work with like-minded students. You can create long-lasting change for the students you represent. We fully train you, and you will have support whenever you need it. You develop a bunch of professional skills, like communication skills and event management, and your work is fully accredited. So, how do you get involved? 1, you choose your network you're interested in. 2, nominate yourself on the SU website at www.leicesterunion.com/voice/elections. 3, we'll talk you through the rest of the election process and will provide support throughout. 4, if you have any questions, visit www.leicesterunion.com/voice/council or get in touch with us at su-council@le.ac.uk. Good luck.
Okay, so the first role we'll look at is the Equality and Liberation Champions. These represent marginalised students in their own department. They've run previous campaigns they've done, include pronoun training for staff, addressing the BAME attainment gap, talks and panel by BAME academics, etc., etc. This is one of the groups that represents marginalised students, as mentioned, so it includes BAME, disabled students, women, trans and non-binary, and LGBTQ+ students. Scrutiny Committee is a bit different. Scrutiny Committee is designed to monitor the success and campaigns of full and part-time officers, so ensuring that anything they put in the manifesto actually manifests. So ensuring that all campaigns are carried through, and if there's a bit of a problem, understanding why that is, how can it be addressed, and if a campaign's suddenly not possible anymore, finding the reason why and making sure it doesn't happen again. So they also monitor the attendance of other student leaders, such as the representatives for council, to ensure that people are actually turning up, because if they're not there, they can't represent their cohorts. And Scrutiny Committee can also review and approve changes to bylaws and approve election rules. This is why they have to remain impartial throughout all decisions and cannot vote in council. So how can these reps help you? Well, who deals with what first? So we've got course reps, as mentioned in the video by Adnan. We've got ELCs, which was mentioned previously, and the networks that were mentioned by Mia, alongside your part-time and full-time officers. So course reps primarily deal with academic issues, but are welcome at councils, whereas ELCs focus primarily on representation and discrimination. Networks, part-time officers and full-time officers also work with their campaign ideas, because most networks will be chaired by a part-time or full-time officer to help things that have gone through council be realised. So examples of what roles do what. So you want to run a university-wide campaign. You submit your idea to the ideas system, which will be covered later. If it passes, it will be then taken to council, where you'll contact the relevant network or officer directly to get some advice and help moving forwards. So say you've been put in a room that is inaccessible for you for one of your lectures or exams. An ELC can help you to contact staff. Also, the Accessibility Network, which is a network in council, can help campaigns to make the university ensure all rooms are accessible for students. And the accessibility officer in particular can help raise it higher if need be. This is due to especially having better connections throughout the university and having direct one-to-one meetings with senior members of staff. So our last example is a lecture from a month ago hasn't been uploaded onto Blackboard. You've spoken to the lecturer and it hasn't been resolved. So a course or department rep will address this. A course rep will be especially helpful as they'll be in your year, so they'll likely experience the same things. And course and department reps have monthly meetings called SSC, so Student Staff Committee, where staff and students sit down to discuss issues, just general business in the department, things like that. And these are very important because it ensures that the department is held to account. So if there is an issue and the department says it will be fixed within a certain time frame, this will be noted and it will have to be actioned at the next meeting to ensure it's actually happening. If not, it can be brought up further throughout the voice structures. How do I get involved? If you want to stand in an election, academic reps, student council and scrutiny committee are all democratically elected. Nominations are currently open until the 9th of October, and voting will then take place between the 14th and 16th. During that time, you need to write a manifesto, put it up with there, and so people know why you're standing, what you plan to do, and basically whether or not they want you as one of their representatives. Becoming an ELC is a bit different. Equality and Liberation champions are interviewed and selected rather than democratically elected. They close at 5 PM today, so you might want to hurry a little bit there, but will reopen later in the term for unfilled positions. So ELCs are different because you will write similar to a manifesto, but your reasons why you want to stand as an ELC and what you think makes you qualified for the position. So keep an eye out on social media from the union to find out when the applications will reopen. So why should you be involved? Here we've got a quick video here from past representatives and their testimony about why they stood and what it meant to them.
I want to get involved with the Leicester community and University of Leicester Student Union. I also wanted to help many struggling students, both international such as myself and local students as well. I was able to make a difference at the university where I was able to participate in voting for children-friendly spaces at the university library and voting for accessible prayer halls at the university. The skill I learned from being a network rep was time management, where I was able to balance between my university work and my student union work. Further, I was able to become a good listener and a good team player.
The chance to voice my college opinions is especially because I feel more isolated, so I can motivate our international students, motivated me to be a coder, as well as to establish a communication between us, the students, and staff members in order to increase the student learning support. As a course rep, I have gained many skills, such as public speaking. I talked the first time in front of 200 people. Negotiation, problem solving, organization, or time management. Because I'm a mature student and I have to set my priorities and organize my time in the curve.
So as you can see, that was just a short video from some former reps, which is always is the best opinion to get through people who've actually done the role before and hearing what their experience was like. So here we have one of the things, some of the things that make it worthwhile to be a representative, apart from representing your peers. You can gain communication skill, which includes negotiation, conflict resolution, which is very helpful for getting when you're presenting on behalf of an idea in council or simply in an SSC when you're raising an issue to the people who'd usually be teaching you rather than listening to your ideas. And it gives assertiveness, because when you're representing your peers in whatever capacity, you want to be assertive to make sure that people understand why this is an issue and why you think it should be changed. Folds straight in with presentation skills, things like that, being able to coherently put across your ideas and being able to withstand scrutiny, which helps a lot in later life. Data and feedback gathering and research, because a lot of the time you'll be wanting to find out what people's ideas are currently, what they feel, what they want changed, so you can shape what you think is important for the future. Meetings with high-level staff, which is going to be common for a lot of the roles, and experience chairing meetings. There is also access to further training, which is provided as part of EduCare. As well as the basic training, our student leaders have access to other skill development training, including GDPR, or the Data Protection Act, time management, teamwork, leadership, and liberation training. Student leader accreditation and HEAR. So Higher Education Achievement Report. All student leaders have access to our accreditation program. There are 3 levels you can achieve: a pass, which just involves completing the role for an entire year; merit and distinction. Merit and distinction require further training, basically completing some of the modules, like on GDPR, public speaking, things like that. And if you get those, they can get access to your HEAR transcript. For those who don't know about HEAR transcript, it's an additional accreditation certificate, an additional transcript that you'll receive upon graduation that covers any extracurriculars you have been involved with and is quite well regarded. All the EduCare trainings also come with a certificate and can be used for future job applications. So how else could you create change? Maybe you don't particularly want to stand, you're busy, you've got clubs, whatever the reason, but you still want to have an impact on the future of the university. So the IDEAS system, as mentioned previously, is an online system on the union page where you can vote on or put forward your own idea. If it's a simple operational idea and it can be just implemented very quickly and easily, and there's no reason that it shouldn't be done, it will just be implemented on its own. If it's a campaign, a non-controversial one, you'll be required to hit 20 likes within 2 weeks. This can be, not only can people like your ideas, they can also downvote them, so it will be an idea to just get that within the timescale. If these are then passed, they go on straight to the networks, so the relevant networks, so say it's about more disabled ramps across campus, it will be then passed the accessibility network. And then that will be implemented by them and the relevant officer, and it's complete. If there's a wider event or policy change you want doing, it would have to go through the standard process of getting 20 likes within 2 weeks. But instead of going straight to a network, it will pass to the student council, where it will be presented by myself to the council representatives, who will then vote on the idea and whether or not it seems feasible. If this then passes a council vote, it will then be handed to the network as with the previous system and then implemented. So these are some of the previous year's campaigns. We've had how to manage panic attacks, which was done by the previous wellbeing officer. We have stand against Islamophobia and why is my curriculum white, which were big focuses from the education officer. We had Leicester Pride for 2020, which was an impressive amount of work to still have an event despite everything that was going on with coronavirus and everything. So vote. This is the most important way you can be involved. Even if you don't run or you lose the election, the most important thing is to vote. Because if you want to see something changed across the campus and an idea comes up, if you don't like it, don't vote for it. However, if it comes up on the idea system and you think it's a good idea, the only way it's going to get through is if people like you vote on it. And it also ensures that the representatives you have really do represent you. If someone has views you really like, make sure to vote for them, because it's the only way that they will be elected. And it's vital for shaping the Students' Union and your own experience at university, because the representatives are the ones who will be making these changes. So if you want to find out more, you can go to the leicesterunion.com and select voice. There'll be the voting sections there. You can follow the link that should be appearing in the chat anytime soon. You can scan the QR code on the screen now, and you can check out the social media. So that's perfect. We'll go to any questions now. So some good views to the questions of what is representation, and there was one where one voice for all, when there is a group of individuals to ensure that there's organised communications, their needs are addressed and that they are not forgotten. They need representation. It is very important, which is why we have representation that covers all students, whether it's something to do with your course, something you don't think is fair as campus-wide, or anything really. Any ideas can be put to your representatives or through the idea system. And if other people agree with you, you'll be surprised. It'll come through. And why is representation important? It is impractical to have everyone talking at the same time, therefore having one individual speaking on behalf of all eases the conversation. This is incredibly true in terms of course reps, where if you've got an entire cohort of over 100 people, then it's much easier to just be able to answer to one person who brings the views of everyone coherently to the staff. We have a question in the Q&A.
Do you want to?
Yeah, oh, here we go. What is the Union Development Network? Okay, Union Development Network is all about shaping the democratic structures of the Union Council. So basically, we used to just have representatives. So we had lead union reps previously, which were the equivalent of department reps, and they sat on the council. However, due to union development, it was reformed that we now have liberation groups, which can then vote in council alongside the department reps representing their cohorts and things like that. So the whole point is reviewing what the union currently does in terms of democracy and just, in fact, the whole union, just how it operates, things like that, and asking, is this working? Things like that. Hopefully that answers the question. Yeah, and reviews ongoing practices. Okay. Do we have any more questions? No. Oh, here we go. That disappeared quickly. Okay, how can you attract people to get votes if you're a first-year student and standing for the course rep? Well, hopefully, at least as far as I've seen quite a lot of the time, if you have a course chat, things like that, so across Facebook or social media, especially as we're not going to be on campus so much this year, it's good to just say why you're standing, tell people about the fact that there's a vote going on. We will be sending out information to ensure during the voting time to ensure that people actually do vote, but it's good to mention to people about it and say you want to represent them and tell them why. Also, make sure you've got a good manifesto, because when people are clicking through to see who is standing to represent them, if there's just a big blank box instead of anything about you or why you think you can do it or why you want to do it, they're just going to skip straight past that person to the next one who's actually written something. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, you can always follow it up. In the last session, I was asked about another one about first-year students. And it's an interesting one because when you're a first year, there's usually two alternating groups of students. Ones who want to throw themselves into everything and ones who are nervous to step out of the comfort zone sometimes. And if you're going to do, if you want to do everything, great. You want to do a sport, you want to do a club, you want to be a representative, everything. Just make sure if you're going to do that, that you can balance your time, because there's a reason scrutiny exists and things like that is if you've agreed to represent people and you don't turn up, it doesn't really build confidence in the system as a whole. And also it means that people's views, your cohort, your liberation group, anything, your fellow students aren't being represented. So if you do have a lot of things, maybe consider whether or not you want to do it. But if you're someone who's a bit nervous about stepping forward, being a representative is one of the best things you can do to increase your confidence, because it involves having people come to you as the first point of contact, questioning why something is how it is, whether or not it can be changed. And being the person that's being trusted to pass views forwards can do an incredible thing for increasing self-confidence. Also, it's really good whether you want to go into further education, so things like PhDs where you're going to have to stand up to a committee of people who are more senior than you and defend your opinions, or even just going into work where you'll have meetings with senior management. All representative positions give you good skills at presenting yourself and also your ideas. How many roles would I recommend standing for? Well, it's an interesting one, that. Department rep and course rep, if you stand for both of those, that works out quite well, because department reps attend the same meeting as the course reps do, but they also attend the additional LTC, which is the Learning and Teaching Committee. So that's the one above that where you review overall department processes. And then council is quite different because you can review anything that's coming in. So you'll always have your quite frequent meetings with the chair of your network, but you'll also be discussing in monthly council meetings. It could be anything from whether or not we should adopt certain policies as a union to things like that. And it's all about what you think you can balance, whether or not you think you can attend 2 meetings a month and then the additional ones for council, or whether or not you think you just want to do one. It also depends on what you are passionate about. If you're passionate about your course and what should happen, what changes need to be done, then I'd recommend standing for course rep. If you want to represent your whole department, you want things to see how the inner workings work and recommend how it could be improved and just have your voice heard higher, I'd recommend standing for both of them. If you're passionate about a whole wide range of issues that don't just represent your department, definitely stand for council. And I know a few people who can balance all of them. You can do it, just, yeah, it doesn't take a huge amount of time, but it just takes turning up on the day, making sure you know what you're going into. So it's quite easy to balance all 3 of them. But if you were going for an officer position, like a part-time officer, I wouldn't advise taking on really any other roles apart from that, because that will take up a lot more time than other positions. And if you're an ELC, you will also attend course rep meetings, so it could be balanced with them, but it will be a lot to do that and work on the council as well and be a course rep and everything like that. So it's just what you personally think you can do. If you're a bit worried, start with a lesser number. If you can handle that easily, then do more next year. If you think this is the limit, then just stay with what you're doing at the time. It's all about what you want to achieve and what you can realistically do with your time without impacting your studies, because that's the most important thing. Because there's no point representing somebody really well if you're then not there next year. Okay. Do we have any more questions? I don't believe so. Okay, if that's no more questions, then I think that's all good from my end. Okay, well, thanks everyone, and thank you all for your attendance, and thank you to my moderation team as always. I hope you have a lovely evening and a good weekend.